What's up, everybody? TJ and Carrie here with Muscle Growth Mindset. We'd like to talk about some clean eating today. You've got all these diets out there. There's South Beach, there's the raw foods, there's paleo, Mediterranean. What do all these have in common?
So they all have at the core their clean eating, which is a really simple set of rules to follow. You want starting off with as unprocessed foods as possible, the least amount of chemicals added. So you want fresh fruits and vegetables, nuts, legumes, whole grains, limited amount of sugar, and avoiding fried foods, especially deep fried foods.
Okay, so you say unprocessed, like you mean less chemicals. So how do we shop for that? What would be an example of something that would have less chemicals than something else, I guess?
Okay, so you could get Wonder Bread or Ezekiel bread. Wonder Bread's processed, it's got chemicals to keep it from expiring faster, and it's bleached. While you have Ezekiel bread, it's a bunch of whole grains and unsprouted whole grains. Which one of these is more of a clean food? Ezekiel bread.
Okay, so how do I, someone without a knowledge base of this stuff, like when I go, which we're going to get into this in a little bit, shopping at the grocery store, but I just want to know, like when I'm at the store, how do I know what's processed and what's not?
Okay, so the more it's been touched by human hands, the more processed it is. Frozen pizzas, TV dinners, very processed. Raw chicken breast, you have to cook at home with some sweet potatoes that you're going to have to bake once again at home, and some vegetables. Those are unprocessed.
So basically, if you are reheating it, it's probably not the best for you. If you're getting it out of the frozen dinner section,
right,
it's definitely processed. Okay, so you fruits and veggies, you have your fresh fruits and vegetables. You get in the produce section, and then you can go to the frozen section and get your bags of veggies and bags of fruits. Is there a difference there? Is it acceptable to do the frozen stuff?
You get some of the good effects from frozen or canned foods, but in general, if you are prepping yourself, if it's raw to start with, you're going to get more of the benefits. And what I'm talking about here with clean eating, there is a diet that is against it. It's the If It Fits Your Macros. Have you heard of that one?
I think I've heard of that.
Okay. They say that you can substitute Pop-Tarts for Ezekiel bread. I disagree with this. So you might be hitting your macronutrients, but what you're missing is the micronutrients. And I'm talking about more than just water and vitamins and minerals. I'm talking about fiber, which feeds your microbiome. We've had a discussion on this. I'm also talking about polyphenols, which we have another video. If you want to know what these are, check out other videos.
So you're talking about macronutrients. If it fits your macros, it's a macronutrient diet, which is basically carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. And the way this diet is set up is you're allowed to eat this much carbs in a day, this much protein in a day, and this much fats in a day. And doesn't really care what kind you get. So they're saying a carb is a carb, a fat is a fat, and a protein is a protein, which isn't the case. Like you said, you can't substitute a Pop-Tart for Ezekiel bread and expect the same response in your body, right?
Correct.
So that being said, we're talking about macros with all this clean eating. What are some good examples for carbohydrates? If I'm, wanting to go get healthy carbs, what am I getting?
It's a really good question. So my top three are going to be oatmeal, sweet potatoes, and brown rice. But there are others in that category, Ezekiel bread, to name a few. Any of the fresh whole grains. You can use quinoa.
What makes this better than other carbs? What's wrong with, some just white toast? What's wrong with, white rice versus brown rice? What's wrong with cereal? These are all carbohydrates. So why is it okay or not okay? Is it better to do what you're saying versus just any old carb?
Losing the micronutrients. Every time you process, you're going to lose a little bit. The white rice versus brown rice. The white rice has the husk taken off. The husk is full of fiber and vitamins and protein, which help your body. You know what? Technically, a macro is a macro, but what you're missing out is on the microscopic molecules of other things. Things that help your body in a variety of different ways. Too much information to give you in this video.
Yeah, he had mentioned the microbiome earlier, which is gut health. So some of these, unprocessed foods that, maybe more fibrous, maybe have better micronutrients in them, more micronutrients, it's going to help with your gut health. Polyphenols, we have a video on that. Polyphenols, in-depth topic, but basically it's, give us a 2-second version of what a polyphenol is, the importance of it.
Anti-inflammatory. And inflammation is the #1 cause of damage and disease in the human body. That's the fastest.
That's good. Gives you a little taste there. Polyphenols are very important. And if you take the polyphenols out, if you're getting foods with less, just overall well-being, overall health goes down. So this is something really important to keep in your diet. So if you're eating clean, by the book clean, then you're going to get more of this stuff. Okay, so we touched on carbs a little bit. So fat sources, there's different fat sources. You got butter, you got olive oil, you got virgin olive oil. You have I'm drawing a blank. Avocados, nuts, nut butters. These are all different fats. You got jugs of Crisco, right? What's good? What's bad? How do we decide what fats to put in our diet?
So once again, we're gonna move with the least processed. My #1 favorite fat out there is avocado. It's chock full of polyphenols, fiber, nutrients. It's got some protein, a little bit of carbohydrates, the best possible source of fat you can have. Some of my other favorites would be any nuts or nut butters and extra virgin oils, especially olive oil.
Okay, you say nuts and nut butter. Would nut butter be more processed than nuts?
Look at the label. Be aware. If the label says peanuts and salt, you're good. If it says refined sugar, unprocessed vegetable oil, yeah, you're going to have some other additives in there. If it's not 2 or 3 ingredients, it's not really nut butter.
Yeah, you can see the difference. There's more natural nut butters, and then there's the processed stuff. And so keep an eye out for that. Don't think, just because you're getting nut butter, it's exactly what you need. Do more of an all natural. You can go to places like Central Market and Whole Foods may have it, where you can kind of make your own nut butter. You put the nuts in and you put it through the machine and it turns it into nut butter. That's as good as you can get there. But, just something to be aware of. Keep an eye out. Okay, so we got nut butters, nuts, avocado. What about oils and butter?
Okay, so I know they get a lot of bad rep, coconut oil and butter, and they're not terrible for you. They're not the worst kind of fat, but they're not, if it's processed oil, so you can get extra virgin or virgin coconut oil certain places. Those are going to be better for you than the regular coconut oil, the processed or refined. As long as you're not going the deep fried oils, that's the worst ones.
So little thing on fats, they're real calorically dense, right? So like you said, butter isn't horrible for you. Different oils are horrible for you, but just know that the calories add up quick.
Mm-hmm.
So we do a video on macronutrients talking about carbs, fats, proteins, and we'll get in depth on this, but just know that you're going to get 9 calories per gram of fat. You're getting 4 calories per gram of carbs. So you can have the same measurement wise, say you do 3 ounces of fats versus 3 ounces of carbs, and you're going to get more than twice the calories from the fat.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it's healthy and clean fats, just be careful because those calories are going to add up. Yeah. Okay, protein. This is your meat sources, meat, eggs. That's just bodybuilding talk, but there's other sources of protein. But what's clean proteins versus non-clean?
All right, so you want to stay away from what's called the force meats, which is sausages and lunch meats. You want to start with chicken. It's the healthiest possible source of protein for you. Beef and turkey are good. I would stick with 93.7, which is 93 protein, 7% fats. Animal fats are not the best fats for you. They're not terrible, once again, like butter or coconut oil, but I wouldn't put them at the top of my list. So once again, it's the processed foods you want to stay away from, and the unprocessed foods are better for you.
Okay, so what about of course you get protein from meat, you get protein from eggs. What about your protein from soy? Like soybeans have protein. There's protein in legumes, and different types of beans have protein. So is there a drawback to that protein?
Okay, well, there's a lot of data about protein, what's best for muscle building, and there are 3 amino acids that you've got to have to grow the most amount of muscle, and that's what we're worried about here, muscle growth mindset. Leucine, isoleucine, and valine. And plant proteins are usually lacking in a large quantity of that. So they're not terrible. Some of the plant proteins are maybe supplemented with BCAAs in there, but they're not the best for you.
Yeah. I would say if you're gonna use on a plant-based diet, or you're vegan, vegetarian, something like that, then you need to make sure you're getting the right types of protein. If you can't get it from meat sources, you do need to supplement with amino acids. Or a variety of plant proteins. You may be able to kind of mix and match and get different plant protein sources to get your protein, but it's going to be a lot harder to get the protein requirements you need to build muscle, like we're talking about, bodybuilder type muscle, with plant-based diet. So just know that protein's not protein, so you can get go to your GNC and get your vegan protein versus your whey isolate, and it's not going to be processed the same in your body. It's not going to build muscle the same.
No.
So that's not necessarily clean versus non-clean. That's just getting on the topic of building muscle. What's more efficient?
Yeah.
Okay, so we touched on a little bit going to the grocery store and what foods to pick out. We just listed some good carbs, fats, proteins. So we're going to get a little more into going out to eat versus going to the grocery store. Like, obviously, anytime you can go to the grocery store and shop and cook and do it yourself, it's better. You're going to be eating cleaner that way.
Yeah.
So when you go out and eat, it's hard to know exactly what you're eating. It's hard to eat clean.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have to do that. If you're in a bind, I have to go out and eat. I have a business meeting. I'm traveling. What are some ways we can do that and still eat clean?
Okay. First off, if you keep those rules in mind about the unprocessed, less sugar, whole grains, fruits, veggies, you're going to be starting off in the right place. Avoid generally fast food, Taco Bell, burger joints. These are not going to be good for you.
Talk about processed.
Yeah. For me, Chipotle has I can see all the ingredients in front of me beforehand, and I know what they're doing to it. They cook it on a grill behind the counter. So I've got an idea of how fresh it is, how processed it is. I feel really good about that. Places like that have all fresh, unprocessed foods. Avoid deep fried foods, and be aware of portion control.
Yes.
Yeah. Too much. I mean, if you're eating as much as you want but eating clean, it's better than eating garbage. But if you can control your portions, you're better off.
Yeah, I think, living in the United States and us living in Texas, everything's bigger in Texas, right? That includes portion size. You go to eat, and I love it. But, you get loaded up with some portions, and if you eat everything they serve you, you're probably overeating.
Yeah.
So even if it's clean food, you need to be aware calories in versus calories out. You can eat a clean meal of 2,000 calories. That's not going to be very beneficial.
Yeah.
You can't process all that. Your body can't utilize all that at once. So be aware of portion control, especially when you're going out to eat. Another thing would be fill up on vegetables.
Oh, yeah.
Eat your vegetables first. That's going to kind of hopefully prevent you from eating as much of the other stuff and eating the bad stuff. Avoid the appetizers, the rolls, the chips and salsa, the things they bring out first, usually the free stuff.
Yeah.
Avoid that stuff. It's going to be bad. Avoid dessert. Avoid drinks. I know it's a social thing going out, but there's nothing good from alcohol, like nutritionally. Maybe it's a good time, but it's not good for your body. So avoid drinks, avoid desserts, avoid the breads, chips and salsa, things like that. That's going to help a lot. So, going out to the grocery store, like I'm shopping, there's a few things to hit on there. Like, you have to be careful. There's so many gimmicks out there. It's marketing. They want you to buy their products. So just because it says low fat, just because it says 0 sugar or low sugar doesn't mean it's healthy. So you can look at something that says no fat, but then there's 27 grams of sugar. You can, low sugar, but it's, low sugar is relative. Like what's low sugar? It still has sugar in it. Or net carbs, that's another one, which I go back and forth on this, and Carrie might debate with me on it, but it's still carbs. Like they do this net carb thing where it has 20 grams of carbs, but 7 of them are fiber, so it's only 13 grams of carbs. Well, no, it's still 20 grams of carbs. The fiber is good for you, it helps, but I think all that's just gimmick.
Yeah.
There's certain diets, we go back to types of diets earlier, there's certain diets that go off that too. They go off net carbs. We can get into a debate on this all day, but
yeah. I don't know if I have an opinion on that right now. I'd have to do a little more research.
Yeah, just be aware of it though. Be aware of, don't go off what the label says. They're extremely loose on the rules of what they can do on the label. They can say almost anything. So don't look at the front of the package, look at the back.
Nutrition.
Yeah, look at the nutritional facts, and right below the nutritional facts is the ingredients. The first 2 or 3 ingredients, that's the main thing that's in there. And then after that, there's a lot less. It's a little less important, but those top first 2 or 3, that's the majority of what's in the product. So don't only look at the fats, protein, carbs, but also look at what's actually in it.
Generally, I very rarely these days buy anything that has a label on it. It's tomatoes and chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So avoid labels.
If you can, you're getting. If you buy a couple, carrots. It's carrots.
Yeah.
What's in there? Carrots.
Yeah. There's nothing. No added sugars, no added anything. All right. So this. Hopefully this helps. It gives you some guidelines to go off of. We've given you a few rules, a few choices, I guess, for carbs, proteins, and fats to go off of. Just be smart, be aware, do your research, and then if you have questions, ask us. Make some comments on here, and let us know. Let us know if you have need more information or want more information.
All right. We'll see you next time.